Welcome back to another episode of Everything and the Gym. I'm your host, Shelby, and we have an interview episode today. What is your name?
My name is Patrick Christopher Cassel Norman.
And why do you have so many names?
You have to ask my mom about that one. But the Norman, last part of Norman is my dad's last name. And then the Castle part is from my original family that I have.
Yeah. Well, I know you from the gym. I try to go back and think about the first conversation I've had with this person. And I remember I've had multiple conversations with you, and I have no idea what about. Usually I can pinpoint it, and I can't. I just remember talking to you. Do you remember our first conversation?
I know there's like a little like back and forth waves. You know, I'm that
Long
type of
time
friendly
ago.
type of person. But I think the first conversation, and I think I remember it was, hey, you should join the class. And I said, okay, cool. And I joined it.
You're a big part of my class now.
Yeah, it's a lovely class, great class.
I appreciate it. I'm like, ooh, is Patrick coming to class today? I know there's vibes in that one. So thank you. How old are you?
I'm 25 years old.
And what do you do?
So, I'm a rapper and a slash influencer. So I've been doing this for almost like 5 to 6 years. But I obviously have a 9 to 5 as well. But like this has been ever since I got out of high school. This has been just a career path that I've always wanted to get into, and so it just led me to this.
How do you get into that?
Into rap.
Yeah, like what decisions do you have to make to be like where you are right now?
It depends. I know for me, rapping has always been in my life anyway because of the fact that the music that I listen to, old music that I listen to, but getting into that kind of mindset and that mode to get into a studio and start making music, it's not a difficult kind of task, but it is a mindset where you have to kind of fill in and make sure that whatever song you're trying to put out there, it got to be in a specific way to where you're trying to be the best at the song. And so I think that's how I usually do it, going in from studio times. I just get this clear conscience of like being more, what am I trying to, portray to my fans that I have. And so that's how I usually do it.
So do you record here in Angelo?
Yes, I have a friend. His name's Mike. He's been in the recording game for like almost 5 years. He has a cousin that makes music too, but he just has his own studio at his house. And so we have like a little click type of deal. And so that's where I usually go to.
So what is your 9 to 5?
So I work at the Circuit Breaker. It's the arcade bar.
Oh.
Yeah, so if y'all, anyone that wants to come join, they have like arcades for free. It's kid friendly through like 4 to 9, and then usually adults come afterwards and stuff. So it's fun. They got nostalgic games. They got everything, you name it.
Was not expecting that.
Yeah, I'm an assistant manager there, so I just got this job like not even a month or two. So I've been kind of getting used to this handyman work and making sure I'm doing my duties, and so I feel like that title assistant manager makes me feel some type of way. So
Wow, very cool. Have you always been active?
As far as like just the gym,
fitness related. So did you play sports in high school? Has it always been a part of your life? Did you like dip off?
right? I think it started when I moved in San Angelo. I think it was in the 4th grade, and I think it was either between the 6th grade when I actually started getting into sports, because my mom always wanted me to, and then my brother, he's a big fanatic about sports. He played football like when he was younger, and he was just like a great football player. So I kind of wanted to do the same. I just didn't know what kind of route I was going to get into. So I got into the football, and I think it was the YMCA in the 6th grade. I played with the team called the Fighting Irish. And so that's when I first started doing sports. And ever since then, I've kind of been active as far as just doing sports, whether it's football, basketball, gym, whatever the case may be.
So when did you switch to, like, obviously after sports, when did it switch to your first walk, like, into a gym?
I think it was still in high school. It was in, I think, 11th grade, because at that time I was trying to try out for a basketball team, and I had a best friend. I still have a best friend that plays basketball too, and he's on varsity, and he always trains with his dad. And so I was interested because I was like, I want to do what he's doing because obviously it's working for him. And so when I first asked him, like, hey, is it cool if I join in with you and training and stuff, him and his dad was cool with it. And so we would go to True Fit. So that was the first gym I went to. And so when I first was in there, it was like, oh, this is how a gym looks like. Okay, cool. And so that's how everything kind of started.
Yeah, they have the basketball gym there.
Yeah.
Too. So
Yeah.
that's a selling point for some. What are some of the things you've learned about yourself since starting, like, fitness, like, in the fitness field?
I know for me, ever since high school, when the fitness journey started, I realized that I had a potential of growing into this mindset of like, hey, if I'm gonna do whatever it takes to be good at something, whether it's sports, whether it's being athletic, whether it's being more disciplined on trying to become better at doing stuff, whether it's lifting weights, I have to kind of have this ideal grind in me. And so I think that's what it was instilled in me, was just the hard work at first. And so I always knew I had it. I just didn't know when it was going to come out. And eventually it did. And so, and it's ironic to me because now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, I look for so many years that I've been in a gym, and I'm like, I feel like I'm a gym like junkie now. So, so that's pretty much, I think, for that part. I think also the discipline as well. You know, there's just days, you know, I think everyone can relate when you getting up at a certain time in the morning. If you go to early, then you're just like, do I want to go? Maybe I can skip this day, or maybe I shouldn't go. But then those thoughts like kind of create this, you know, outcome for you to be like, you know what? Like, it just forces me to be like, all right, I'm not listening to my thoughts today. I'm actually going to the gym. So
Yeah.
that's where it comes from.
Wow. Would you say you have grown more confident outside of your life because of the gym? Like outside, not outside of your life. We're not like exiting life. Outside of the gym, do you feel like you're more confident in like your rapping and all those?
Most definitely, I agree. I think so because I know there was a point of at a time where, again, even in the fitness, like when I was like into the fitness at an earlier state, around like high school, and then obviously after high school, I was still in it, but not as much. But I think it was the last relationship I had. I think that deteriorated everything for me to kind of even push harder, which is crazy. Everyone like has a backstory of why they would go like, you know, to the gym even more, what made them like obsessed. But I know going through trials and tribulations in my life, I felt like the gym was more of a safe haven for me because there was so much that I went through, and during that time, the only way I can get it out, the only way I can get out those emotions or the feeling of like as if it's a safe place for me to feel more confident in myself was the gym. And so I think the the gym is always a big part of my life because of so much the staging of the years that I've had of growing, and like I see it from like day to day, and it's crazy to me. Like just life is like in a snapshot. Like it just comes and it goes, and so I feel like during the times of me being 25, and like I still got more years to live if God says so. That like um I just see like the gym always being a very like a good resourceful thing for me. And if I ever left the gym, I feel like things would I don't know. I don't know what would happen. So it just probably wouldn't be a good thing. So I'm glad that like the gym has always been part of my life.
It's a non-negotiable agreement. Yeah. That's something I have told Taryn before, is it amazes me that you're 25 and every time I've talked to you, you've had something just like motivational or inspiring to say. So that's awesome that the gym is like that for you.
Right.
It's a good place to have that. So
Yeah.
thank you for
I appreciate it most definitely. And
yeah.
I know obviously like from now to like back in the day, I know if how I talk now, you wouldn't believe how this wouldn't been if you seen how I was back in the day, you'd have been like, oh, that's a different type of person. And I think that's it's crazy to me. And so like, when people say I'm like kind of inspirational, and I have a lot of friends, a lot of people that tell me that, I'm like, well, there's a backstory to it.
So what is that backstory?
I know for me, well, it all started with just being moving here. I know my mom was adopted at a certain age. We never knew about it because we're not from here. We're from San Antonio, and so living my life as a young kid, just being mysterious, trying to be a kid, and then we stayed with my grandma, which she's passed away. Her name was Nancy Bivens Cassel. That's where I got my Cassel name from. And so we have family out there, and she always took care of us. She always made sure we had something to eat. And sometimes when my mom had to go to work and she couldn't take care of me, obviously she was like a registered nurse, so her times and her time schedules was just kind of off, so she couldn't just fully like focus on me most of the time, me and my brother. And so my grandma would be there at those times. And so it was really warming to have a grandma to really have that. And even at their age, because she was like at least 84, 85, during those times that I've kind of gotten to the more sensible understanding of like what are what are families for, and like having that blessing was a good thing. And so I think it was in February, I can't remember the day exactly, but I know it was around 2008 that she had passed away. It's a crazy story. I know it was one morning I went to school. Well, I was going to school. My mom woke me up and she told me to wake my grandma up. I tried to shake my grandma, try to wake her up. She wouldn't wake up. I think that's when like life like flashed before my eyes, because that's when I think reality hit right there, because it like knowing that she didn't wake up. I mean, it was time for her to go. It was just like a bad like scenario, but that kind of shook me because I've never experienced that. So that was a rough time dealing with that, the funeral and stuff like that. And I know during that time and trying to figure out what we were going to do from there, it was kind of rough, especially for my mom. Like, we grew up in just a project, so we didn't know what to do. We didn't have the money for nothing. Yeah, we had the family and stuff like that, but it's just a rough time to kind of figure out what's the next moves. And I think it was a couple months after a lady had called my mom, and apparently I can't remember what her job was, but apparently she helps foster kids or adoptive kids find their mothers or like people that actually like grew up with their actual mom and their biological father, and apparently she had found my mom's mom, and so my mom didn't believe it at first because obviously we just lost our grandma, but they had a talk on the phone, and I guess she was like still. It was still like like a shocking moment because she actually realized, and then she asked the family out there, "Is it true?" And they're like, "Yeah, it is true. You are adopted. We just didn't want to tell you because apparently back in the day, they don't play about like having secrets being said. Like I think if any older generations, we have this like respect in a way where like the yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, and like mindset where it's like you just do what you're supposed to do, and so that happened. She came, my grandma, which her name's Teresa Bush now, she came down with her car, and we just grabbed our stuff, and she just told us to come move to San Angelo. So that was the first kind of like deal with me because I've had friends out there, but I just still didn't know what was my purpose. I was new to the Angelo area. I remember going to school at Reagan Elementary in at that time, and it was so weird. Like I just didn't know if I could fit in. I was trying to fit in with people, and I think that's another part that like struck me too because I had to realize I don't know if I was like that type of person that people were going to be cool with or not, and so that always had to was always intrusive in my thoughts because I didn't know if I could fit in or not. But I met a friend of mine, which his name's Christian, and we've been tight like ever since, and so ever since then it's been good for that. But I know going a little bit more further, just to kind of not even speed up the process, but speed up the process. It's more, I know with my life, I feel like everyone has those like life stages that they go through, and you just like you don't know what's gonna come up next. Like you don't know how it's gonna be. You don't know what the feeling for it is, and I feel like my life has been into like a movie, like So I know there's a long process to go, but I know like losing my fingers was a big part of my life too, and so
What happened?
good. That's a good question. So I was working at a job with my brother. I think I just got out of high school, and my mom wanted me to work at a job that was a good a good paying, decent job. Actually, a high paying, decent job. And so my brother worked at a place called the Texas Packing, and they basically it's like a slaughterhouse. And so I worked there, and I kind of already knew I didn't want to work there because I was like, there's too much craziness going on in there. Just seeing, cows getting slaughtered, and recipes to the cows. But, but like, working there, I had to work at a specific area where I had to use a saw, like slash dehorner for the horns for the cows, and so working there for a couple months, I was still in like I don't know if I want to work here. I don't know if I do, but the money was good. And so I think it was, I don't know, I can't recall, but I know it was a month after, and it was on a Friday, and they hire a lot of people that they hire anyone, like anyone you can imagine. They can hire people that don't have a educational background, like recovering addicts. So it was just a bad kind of like environment anyway. And so there was a dude that was they just hired, was working there, and he was working on the same floor as I was. And so it was on a Friday. I think it was after lunch, and I was doing my duties, and there's a saw, like I said, that cuts down the horns, and it goes like in between, and that's all it does. but it's like very, very sharp. And I think if I can recall, my hand was like right in the middle of it. And there are these buttons that you have to use. You have to use them. And so all I remember, I think I either dropped my knife or something. If we kind of butcher the cows, I dropped it, and the dude that was close. He was him. I don't know if he pushed it or he just fell on it. I don't know. I can't recall, but I saw like the machine like closing in. So I just like tried to, it was like a quick reaction, but it was too late. And so like my fingers was like cut deep, like really, really deep, and like worst traumatic pain I could ever go through. And all I remember was that going to the hospital at Shannon, waiting for hours to figuring out what they're gonna do. They didn't have anybody on the call to do any surgeries, so they told us that they would take us to either Dallas or San Antonio to a military hospital, and yeah, that happened.
Wow. How long did that take to recover from?
Well, I know as far as I know in the depression state that I was, I felt like being in that hospital when they did the surgery, it was quick and it was like right there. And I had to ask the question, did I lose my fingers? Because I felt it. And they told me. And that stunned me even more because I didn't know what I was going to do. But I knew my mom was going through it because she didn't want this to happen. And so I had that in the back of my head too. I mean, but obviously for me, those days in the hospital, I was just like depressed and I didn't know what to do. But going out of the hospital, I still had some type of hope. Not entirely, but in a way too, it's like, I mean, now it happened. I can't do nothing about it. Like it's something I got to live with. And so that's what, going through that was more of it was like a triggering traumatic thing that I couldn't like just get over any second. Like just had to take months, prior to months, even going through therapy and trying to physical therapy too. But I'm I'm thankful for the friends that I had that was, still here, because they even tell me, months prior or months after, like the fact that I'm still trying to push through, even if it sucks, even if there's days I'm crying, even if there's days I'm trying to figure it out, that they have some type of like motivation and kind of what is the thing, they have a respect to the point where they believe that I can like take them to places. It's like that I inspire them. Mm-hmm. And so I just felt like those moments of that, and then me trying to push through where I am today. It's astonishing of how far. I mean, obviously, like God has a major role to that. But yeah, I think it's been a struggle, but it's been a upcoming struggle.
How was that your dominant hand?
No, thank God.
That's good.
My dominant hand was my left hand.
Not that it's good, but at least it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I gotta relearn to brush my teeth. And yeah. How do you lift? Do you lift weights?
Yes, I do.
How difficult is that to hold on to heavy?
I know when I first started, I couldn't, because obviously the muscles and the tendons in my hand were like still trying to recover. So my mom wouldn't want to let me lift. I wanted to, but my friends told me like, just take your time. And so that kind of like, I don't know, like that messed me up a little bit. I was like, dang, I can't even lift. But finding out things that I could do during those, those processing times of like rehabbing and pushing, and for some reason I just overcame most of the stuff. And so I figured out a way to carry, like even with dumbbells, I have a way of holding them. Like I grab them. Usually you're supposed to grab your dumbbells in between the middle. With that hand, I grab it on like up top, so I can have more grip. And so like it's a good thing because with these fingers here, apparently they say these two are your most necessity fingers because that's where you kind of grip from. But these two has been so helpful, and I think the thumb obviously is the most kind of a good thing too.
Does your hand hurt, or do you have like phantom limb syndrome?
Yes, I have a lot of phantom pain most of the time. It used to be bad when my prior to my like injury and like after too, especially in the cold. But yeah, there's just days where it's like I still like feel as if they're there, but they're not. But they don't hurt as bad as like that. They hurt in the regards because the finger that they still attached to, that they could attach. It was this one. I think it's the index, if I'm correct. That one's more agitated most times because when it's cold, it's like, and I can feel it, and so like it's just like even when I get like frostbite in my hands, I still feel it, and so there's just days I'll just have to like get through it, and I'm like, ugh, like my friends is like, your hands is cold or your hands is blue, and I'm like, I know, can't do nothing about that. So most of the times it's kind of like it's a rough start for me for sure.
How long did you rehab?
I think it was for I want to say between like 5 to 6 months, but I think that was pretty much it, just because of the fact that how fast I was getting through it, and so yeah, rehab wasn't nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, it's quite painful.
Yes.
Yeah. So, what kind of things do you do in the gym now? I've had conversations with you lately, and you have switched up entirely how you've been working out. So, what do you do now?
So I, I mostly so I've been trying to get into calisthenics, um, and I have been doing it. So, but I also do a little bit of weightlifting, not entirely, but just a little bit, because I've like heard about calisthenics really helping you be more muscular, losing weight more, just more body weight stuff. And so I was like, you know what, let me try it, because when I was younger, hearing about doing push-ups in the gym or going to classes and having the gym period, and they'd be like, y'all gotta do push-ups, and I'm like, do I really want to do push-ups? No. So like the thought of push-ups is like, ugh, but I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna have to get over it somehow. So like doing stuff like that, it's been cool. So it's not been the best, like waking up, I'm like, oh, I gotta do calisthenics today. What's on the schedule?
Yeah, you're using an app, right?
Yes.
What app are you using?
I think it's Better Me, I believe. So it's a great app. I think it's like for starters, and then like there's more advanced stuff that you can do with calisthenics. But hopefully I can get there. We'll see how it works. I be seeing a lot of influencers that I follow that be doing so much craziness, and I'm like, when can I get there? Like I'm just trying to skip through the process already.
I'll teach you ride, and we'll trade. You teach me calisthenics.
Most definitely.
Yes. What else are you doing? Because you mentioned it to me yesterday. What else are you trying?
Oh yeah. Okay. So I got I'm a big MMA fan. I don't know if y'all know, it's like mixed martial arts, just like fighting stuff. But I've had friends that got into it, and so I'm doing this program. It's like Muay Thai. It's just like boxing / like kickboxing with elbows and stuff like that. And so I just got into it because I know no, it was not beginning. It was like the end of last year. I got into like Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and I started getting into those classes with like wrestling and stuff. And so I was just wanting to get more into the boxing scene just because I seen friends do it, influencers do it, and I'm just like, you know what? I wanted to try it because I feel like it's just another thing that's like that adds more discipline to me, and like it's just like, I don't use it for fighting or nothing, but it's just like a more of a I feel like it's just like a how can I say, like fighting my demons, so that's how I use it. So I just started like this past week, and I mean, after this interview, I'm gonna go to the gym and do it. So
You said it's kicking your butt.
yes, it is. And it's like, my arms, my waist, everything. I'm just sore, and I'm just like, oh, more stretching for me to do. So,
Yeah.
but it's fun.
How bad was ride class with that?
It
That
wasn't
soreness.
it wasn't too bad. I'm gladly I stretched, because if I didn't, I'd probably feel it, and then I'm like, oh, now I have to like get through it. But I feel like I'll be okay. It's just the soreness kicks in sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'm used to just being sore anyway, and getting to the gym, and I'm just like in that like awe moment, like here we go again.
All right. So, where are you now, and where do you think you're going? Where are you now in life, and where do you think you're going?
That's a great question. I know going through, life itself has been more of a life lesson and of like a storyline. But I know prior to we're talking about like going through the hard times with my fingers injury and trying to get through there. I think that's what I was needed. Now it may sound like I don't know, because I don't think no one needs to go through pain like that. But everyone hears those sayings like pain. When there's pain and suffering, there's victory at the end somewhere. Like there's like the end of the road of like victory. And so I felt at that time it was more of a just digesting all the trials and tribulations. And so, but I know last year I feel like that was my breaking year, because I got into this self-improvement mindset, and I never took this approach because I was never taught. I was raised with no father. Yeah, I had my mom, but I didn't have someone to be like, hey, like, as a father, to try to teach me about being a disciplined man or a high value man, and trying to cater to understanding what it is to be a man in these time eras and stuff. And so I don't know, I just came across videos about hey, like, and maybe it's like time for me to switch the gear. And I've learned a lot through last year. I had to get into a lot of things, like reading books. In high school, in middle school, I didn't like reading. Never did. I don't even know how I even got brought up to reading. But I remember the first book I bought last year, and it was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. By far, best book I've ever read. And I think ever since then, I've been like a book nerd. So I be buying books and books and books and books, and I'm like, and it's funny to me because I used to like be the person, I'm like, oh, this person got a book. How weird is that? And it just now it's like it's reflecting on me now. So I'm like, well, I'm laughing at myself at the end of the day. So getting to books was great. I also got into this thing called like meditation, and I don't know if you're familiar with it, but yeah, it's been helpful for me because I know, as human beings, we get into our emotional states and we don't sit within ourselves to figure out what's really wrong with us. We have 3,000 thoughts that go through our head, and we're just on the go. And so learning the meditation and getting into that meditation, practicing and mindfulness, it just put me into a whole nother gear, because it was kind of scary at first, because I'm like, well, I don't know what to expect. But when I started doing it more, it was like oh, this is very like helpful. Like this is really, really helpful. No one ever taught me this. So meditation has been a very, very, very like tool that I use to this day.
Do you meditate every day?
I try to every day. Sometimes I try to force myself because I feel like it's important. But most of the times, if I don't feel like it, I won't. But I try to attend to, because I feel like it's very needed for me. Because again, I'm always on the go, and maybe there's times I need to sit down with 5 to 10 minutes of my time and just sit down and just enjoy the stillness that I'm in. And so I try to at least Monday through Fridays.
Mm-hmm. Do you use an app, or are you like, I'm sitting down and I'm doing it myself?
In 2023, I used this app called Gaia, and they had all type of spiritual like things, awakenings, um, what is the word? Religions, all type of stuff. So I used that, and that opened my eyes even more because I would get into documentaries about the stuff, and so I used that. But I felt within that time of using that app, I mean, and the website, there was so much information I was getting, and so it was great. But it was just like you get more information, and you're like, okay, so if this is this, then what is this, and so I was like getting caught in this trying to figure out why is everything, and so I had to step away from that because I was like, in order for me to continue to grow, like there's a thin line between having knowledge and wisdom, and I had to learn that. Having knowledge, I thought, oh well, knowledge is great, that's what the most important thing to do. I mean, it is, but having wisdom is 10 times better. Knowing things that you don't know, it's just like it's a snowball effect, and it's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like you're preaching to me now. All the things that I need to be hearing. Where are you now?
I feel like I'm still trying to find my identity, and I think everyone's trying to find their identity, but I know for me, I want to find it because I know, like, I'm at an age where, I'm in my mid-20s, and I think that's when I'm growing more, and so trying to figure that out and understand where that's going to lead me, and all the things that I've done prior to just like becoming the best version of myself, or trying to be the best version of myself. I just want to attend to that, but I've realized again, like, no one's perfect. So like there's days where I'm trying to be disciplined, and there's days I'm not going to be, and I have to like learn that for myself sometimes, because I'm so harsh on myself about it, because getting into this self improvement mindset, I've seen a lot of people on social media get through it and be like, oh well, it's easy, it's easier said than done, and so I'm like, well, if it's easy, it should be easier for me, but it's still a process, getting from year. I just learned this last year, so for me to get better at it, by the end of the year, and be the best at it, I think that's blasphemy for me. So I need to be more in the present moment, because I have a tendency of just looking for the future, and then sometimes I'm bringing it back to the past, and I had to learn that, and I'm still having to learn that. So it's crazy to me, but I think right now I'm at a moment where I'm still trying to figure out who I am, but I know eventually it's gonna come. It'll come to me, I think there's a saying, for those that wait, like great things will come to you, and so like I feel like I just have to wait. It's patience, and so I'm very bad at patience, but it's crazy. Like I've had to learn a lot of patience last year and still this year. So
What kind of characteristics do you look for in friends? Because I feel like you have a mature mindset over some that are around your age. So what characteristics do you look for, like, in a friend?
right, I feel like being outgoing, being able to be self-aware of like your surroundings. I mean, and obviously trying to be able, being coachable. The friends that I have are very coachable, and like they taught me before I even got into this, thing of this self-improvement, ideal, because they taught me that, hey, like there's sometimes you're not gonna know everything, And there was a time though I thought I knew everything, but I had to get, back into reality and be like, no, I don't know everything. So having friends that have that mindset, but I think also the most important thing is the love that they have, the care that they have. And like I tend to attract to people that have that, because that's how my heart is. Because you know I just always grew up as a person that likes to be around people and make sure everyone else is good. And so seeing that in other people, it's like it brings happiness to me, because I know that's how I was brought into who I am today, and who I was years ago, and who I am going to be. And so
Beautiful. I'm like, keep talking. So, where do you want to be in 5 years? Things can change, but where, right now, standing where you are, when you're 30, what do you want life to look like for you?
I guess in a materialistic way, I'll give you two ways. In a materialistic way, I want to be where as financially free as I possibly can. Being that person, like being an entrepreneur and stuff. And I see myself, grinding to getting there, just because I have like a lot of ideas I've always getting into, research, trying to get into this at a 9 to 5 rat race, and just trying to be the person I want to be. But internally, I see myself being spiritually woken, and just because times is really crazy right now. A lot of bad things are happening, and people are either oblivious to it or people are not. But I know that there are things that it's just coming. We don't know what's gonna happen to this world. We don't know what's gonna happen to us. So the best thing I would want for me to be is to be on my best behavior, but being my best version of myself, and just being able to understand God and its universe and what it has for me. And like, I know everyone has a way of saying how God is, and especially like religion and stuff, but how I usually see it, like, I grew up as a Christian, but it just digressed a little bit, a little into just like into this idea where God can be the universe. God can be something that's like big. We don't know what he looks like. It could be a he, she. Who knows? And I've always gotten into angel numbers, and it's happened last year, and I've seen them more and more, and I still see them to this day. And I'm like, I don't know if it's contradicting to me, because I'm like, well, I don't believe it. But then there's times when I see them, especially when there's like thought patterns that come into my head, and I'll see 111 or 777 within this month. I've been seeing a lot with that, and those numbers basically was telling me that you're on the right path. Just continue to, like, it's supposed to be like, it's like luck slash everything that's you're training to be. It's gonna like reap the benefits for you. So that's how I see myself.
I feel like your mindset now is probably a lot of positive self-talk. Do you still struggle with like negative self-talk?
Yes, I do. And I tend not to talk about it too much, because it's like, I guess that's a me problem. But then I've heard, like, even everyone needs someone to have, everyone needs an ear to listen, or someone that needs to like vent to. And so, I'm still working on that more and more, because I know there was a time where I'd be so, prideful and ego about, well, I don't know if people are gonna understand me, because I go through differently what others go through. But then again, I'm mistaken, for that, because I don't know what anyone else is going through. It could be going through something 10 times worse. So in that perspective, I put myself into a different threshold of understanding, well, hey, it's okay to be sad sometimes. It's okay to be mad and angry, or whatever the case may be, case scenario of like emotions that you're building up But from there and to that point, you know, you learn from it, and then you grow and you figure out what is the best thing to do, especially when times are rough and things come out of nowhere. And so I feel like, yeah, that's pretty much it.
What is your biggest struggle right now?
My biggest struggle.
Your biggest struggle, like today. What is your biggest struggle?
I think it's just the discipline, but also being in the present moment. Like, I'm so looking ahead of time. I'm trying to be like, oh, I'm gonna get there, or you know, and it's good to have vision for sure. But I feel like being taking it day by day by day by day, and again, it goes back to that patience. I think this it's a patience type of thing, but I think it just all goes into patience. I mean, like I said, everyone's not very born with discipline. It takes time for disciplines, but with that takes patience. With that takes persistence. With that takes determination and hard work and courage and everything you can imagine. And so that's how I see it.
Switching from your biggest struggle, what is something you've done that you're really proud of yourself for?
I felt I'm really more proud of the person I'm becoming. I know, a couple years ago, I would look at the things that I've done that I'm proud of, but I think anyone's capable of doing big things. So I look at that as just a part of your life. It's just, I feel like the person I've become is going to be more efficient on what I'm trying to get to or who I'm trying to be. And so I think that's what I'm proud of because, like I said, I've came a long way, from going through the projects, having no friends, trying to fit in, trying to do what everybody else is doing, not knowing who I am and trying to figure out my identity as, going through that big, leap of the injury that I had until now. I think that's what makes me feel more better about myself because it's like I know I can, I go through a lot of like small wins and even big accolades, everyone can do it. So even if it is like a thing for me where I want to, I mean, of course I definitely do. Like I definitely want to see the goals, be in fruition, but it all just falls back to the person I want to be. And I think that's what I wanted, before I die and before my time ends, I want to make sure that I did everything I possibly can. And so for me to be the better person, for me to share the love and just, have that being just a solid foundation.
Mm-hmm. So beautiful. All right. We are going to get into some rapid fire questions. Okay. I did not send these questions to you. So it is the first thing that comes to mind.
Okay.
You're like, I'm scared.
Oh, goodness.
How much protein do you eat a day?
How much protein?
Yeah.
It's probably low. I ain't even gonna cap. It's probably low. It needs to be higher, but it's probably low. I tried to last year, but having those meal preps, I just be like, feel like I'm just gaining more weight of eating more protein, and I'm like stuffing it. But like I tried to at least have 150, at least. At least.
Okay. Are you okay saying how much you weigh? How much do you weigh?
I think 203, 204.
Okay. 150 is not terrible.
Yeah.
200 grams of protein is a lot to eat. It's a lot.
Yeah, you telling me.
Trying to get to 135 every day, and I'm like, oh, protein bar. Like, it's a lot. Those pastries.
Yeah.
Do you take pre-workout? No.
Not no more. Because I think I don't know what one I used to buy, but there was a specific one I used to buy, and it made me itch. And I'm like, no. Nope. I don't need to do that. It's just it's a weird feeling. I feel like if I wake up already, that's the energy I already have. I just go to the gym before I just be complacent and be like, okay, never mind. So.
Yeah. What is your favorite lift or exercise?
I think the bicep curls.
I thought you were gonna say the bike. I was about to be like, yeah.
I mean, the bike is, yeah, the bike is it's a second thing. You know, I get into it.
You
You
don't
know,
have to lie.
no, I do.
Bicep curls, though.
Yeah, biceps.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, legs is great too, but my biceps, I'm trying to grow them as much. My legs, I already got the big legs, so I'm like,
Yeah. What is, well, I guess this kind of goes into that. What is your favorite muscle? So, like, when you look in the mirror, which muscle are you like, okay, like, I got this?
It's the buys. It's the
biceps.
buys.
Yeah.
I think everything else, I mean, I know having that aesthetic body is the most important thing to, I want to have it, and it's coming pretty soon, but
Yeah.
right now, just the buys.
Do you train abs?
So I try to every other day. I need to. I mean, I think core. I mean, when you're doing legs, you're doing core too. But obviously, abs workouts are supposed to need it. And so now that I'm getting into this Muay Thai stuff, I know I'm gonna have to add that to it. And there's gonna be days when my abs are just good because I remember times I would work on it a lot, and I have a strong core, but I'd be like, oh, like this don't feel good.
Mm.
I'd rather be sore anywhere else, but my abs, no bueno.
That is the one place where I'm like, please be sore, please be sore, please be sore, because then I know I like really got them. So, what is your least favorite lift or exercise?
It's got to be the legs.
Legs.
Yeah, I think everyone hates legs, but I mean, I don't know. It just depends. For me, I hate them. I'll do them. I'm not gonna skip them, but I hate them. I'm like, ugh. Legs. I walk on my feet. Why do I need to do legs all of a sudden?
Well, you could start learning to walk on your hands, and then your biceps will play a part.
You got a point. You got a point.
Yeah. So, what is something you eat every single day?
I tend to go to Chipotle most of the time. I'll try to get some chicken sandwiches made, and I don't know. It differs for me. I'm trying to get into the vegan route. I don't know how I'm gonna get into it, but I mean I've seen a lot of backfire. So I try to get into the fruits and veggies and stuff like that. But we'll see. That discipline part is still gonna come in and creeping on me. So I'm like, ugh. But
what is your Chipotle order?
it's the chicken bowl. I don't like the burritos.
No.
It's the chicken bowl.
Do you track your macros with like when you order through Chipotle?
Sometimes I do. I know. Usually getting 50 grams of protein because they throw a lot of chicken there. I tell them to double it, even with the beans. But I usually do. So I know most of the time I don't track it because then if I do, then I'm like, oh, I still got more to track to. Then I'm like, oh, now I gotta eat this and I gotta eat that and I gotta eat that, and I'm like,
what a problem to have.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a hard problem. I know last year doing the meal prep and stuff, it was so much for me. I'm like, Sundays I would have to cook everything. I'm like, no. I'm never doing this again. If I am, I'm going to pre-order my foods.
It's demanding. It definitely is. What is something you do intentionally every day?
Intentionally.
So it could be like when you wake up, you're like, oh, I have to do this. Or like something that you make time for every single day.
I usually read my Bible in the morning. I try to stay away from my phone, but the phone has been, I think that's everyone's distraction. So I wake up and I'm like, oh, it's 5 in the morning. Let me go ahead and swipe. And I'm like, I try to have that tendency to be like throwing my phone on I'm like, no, I don't need to see that. But then I need my phone because that's where my alarm clock goes. Mm-hmm. But I have to turn it off. So I'm like, do I need my phone? Do I not need my phone? But
that's something I've been slowly working on. It is so hard to like nip in the butt. It's the phone, picking it up, setting it down. Anyway, that's a good one though. You currently, or earlier, said that you read books. What are you currently reading?
So I just finished How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Great book. I think I'm reading, it's don't know if I can remember. I can't recall. I've been reading so much books. It's ridiculous. I think it's too good to feel this bad. It's like an unorthodox way of living. I can't remember who the person is. I'll have to tell y'all later, but it's a good book. It's a great book. It put me into another, like, wow, this is what I didn't know, or like this is what's something I can work towards. And so that's a good book I've been reading.
I am gonna have to find that one. I am currently looking for a book, so thank you. All right. So if you had your own gym, what is your number one must-have? Like, if you were building your own gym, what is the first thing you'd be like, we have to have this?
I mean, I think everything I would need in a gym is everything I need. I think a must-have is the energy. The people need to be energetic. I don't want no, hello, welcome to our gym. No, I need people to be new customers and they be like, man, this gym is dope.
How do you make a gym dope?
I feel like having something new, but obviously that energy, bringing that energy, helping people out, whatever they need, being the pat on their back and be like, hey, you got it. You can squat 400 pounds. Hopefully if someone can squat 400 pounds, that they must be really strong. But, being that person to like encourage, I know sometimes in the culture, we go to the gym and everybody got their headphones on. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I need to have mine too, because I don't want no one talking. If they don't want nobody else talking to me, I don't want nobody talking to me. And if they do, then 9 out of 10, I do talk to people. So I'm still contradicting myself. So I'm like, I'm cool with everybody. So
you're saying we bring a DJ?
We could. I feel like still be more distracting.
Yeah. We're going to get into if you could give anybody in your life honorable mention. It could be somebody you've seen that has done something great and you just want to give them honorable mention. It can be somebody that means something to you, somebody that has impacted you, whether you've met them or not. Who is your honorable mention?
I'd say my mom. I mean, she's done the best she can to raise me, my brother, my nieces, my nephews. I know she goes through a lot, but I feel like she's my hero in my heart. And there's days where we butt heads, but that's a mom and son type of thing. But I love her to death, so that's my honorable mention. And I hope she sees this and cries a little bit. Not too much, though.
Yeah. Hey, Mom, don't cry. You have to send it to her, though.
Yes, I will.
All right, last question.
Okay.
If you could give advice to anybody out there right now, what kind of advice would you give?
I think the advice I would give to anyone is be you, live life, and just know that everything's going to be okay. You just got to figure it out. Life is just like a maze. You just got to continue to keep pushing, and no matter how big the obstacles are or how much you got to work towards it, you just got to finish through, If we're living every day, there's something to live for. And I feel like we're on this earth for a reason, so why not push through to get where you need to get to? So.
Okay, I'm going to go cry now. That was so beautiful. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you for joining me today.
Of course, it was cool to join the podcast. I was like, this is really cool.
Thank you. Do you have any last words?
Not that I know of.
Well, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. It was my honor to host you. Thanks for watching. Make sure you download, like, and subscribe. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and YouTube at Everything in the Gym. You can also listen to our audio on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So, have a beautiful day, friends. Bye.
Later.